They're going to do it. I actually think they're going to do it. Everything is in place. I didn't think it was at the start of the season, but everything is in place. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Zekko football channel. We're talking Liverpool because I've changed my mind. If you go back to my Premier League predictions and had a look at where I put Liverpool, it was not where they are currently sitting at the top of the table. In fact, I didn't think that Liverpool were really going to have too much of a run in the title race. I thought it was going to be Man City's all day long. However, after long deliberation, I've changed my mind. I think Liverpool are going to win the league. And I'm quietly confident about that for a number of reasons. And in this video, we're going to be going through them. Just having a little chat, little explanation, because I reckon Liverpool are going to do it. If you are new to the channel, please make sure that you subscribe, you like the video, and you turn on those notifications. It really helps me out and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you. And now, let's talk about Liverpool. Okay, so we've got Liverpool up here. Let's go through some of the stats to begin with. They've played 20 matches, they've won 13 of them, which is pretty impressive. They've drawn 6 and they've only lost once. And if you recall, that was the game against Tottenham. Yes, that infamous game with VAR and the disallowed goal that should have been allowed, and then there was a whole talk of a replay and them not being given a replay, Jurgen Klopp not being very happy, so on and so forth. I'm sure Liverpool fans are still extremely frustrated by that, and I would be too, because that's the only thing that's keeping you from going invincible at the moment, and that really would kick you in the teeth if that was the only thing stopping you. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. They're doing extremely well. They've scored 43 goals, which is the third highest this season, and they've got 45 points, obviously. They're doing very, very well, and they currently have not lost a game in the last 5 matches. Not bad at all. Let's have a look at some more stats, because we can see that they have an average ball possession of 60%. That's around about the same as Arsenal. They have good possession, they have good accurate passing in their half, and just generally, they're a very, very good, well-rounded side, and that's one of the main problems that I had with them originally. In fact, one of the things that's really changed me on this has nothing to do with the Premier League at all. It's actually the game that they had against Arsenal in the FA Cup, and we're going to highlight this match because I think this encompasses everything that Liverpool is today. They won the game 2-0, but a lot of people would argue that they didn't deserve to. A lot of people would argue that it was Arsenal's all day long. But there were so many things in this match that told me things about Liverpool that I did not realise. And I should have realised. I should have had a little bit more faith. I should have understood a little bit better. But bear with me. We're going to go with it step by step. So Liverpool set up with this team. Now, it doesn't look the flashiest. Yes, you've still got Trent, but you don't have any Van Dijk. You don't have any Szoboszlai. You don't have any Salah. You don't have any kind of main left back. Robertson is gone. Tsimikas is gone. Joe Gomez is out on the left-hand side. Arsenal peppered them for an entire half, more or less. And if I'm honest, Liverpool were pretty lucky to get away with it being 0-0. But they did, and that is the crucial point. That's the first thing I want to mention. They stuck in, they ground it out. The resilience in this Liverpool side is pretty spectacular. You have arguably the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, if not the world currently. Alisson is unbelievable. He's great with the ball at his feet, and he's probably the best shot stopper currently in the league. Trent Alexander-Arnold is taking his game to a new level. I liked him being moved into midfield. I think that's where he should be playing. I think that's where his range of passing is. And let's be honest, not many players have the range of passing that Trent Alexander-Arnold does. Maybe Kevin De Bruyne, maybe one more. But generally, he is just a special talent, and he really took the game to Arsenal in the second half. So that's another point. Trent is a fantastic player that they really need to lean on, and it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool deal with their injury with his injury going forwards. Joe Gomez was a big plus point for me. I didn't realise he could play left back as well as he has been, especially against the likes of Bukayo Saka. He really tucked in, sat next to Kwanzaa and made sure that Liverpool were as tight as possible. And again, they did ride their luck, but it was pretty good. Then you've got this midfield three. Now, this does not look like the sturdiest midfield three of all time. You're missing out on Endo. You're missing out on Thiago. You're also missing out on the likes of Bajcetic. I could go on. This Liverpool midfield was not their first choice. Szoboszlai was not in this side, but Harvey Elliott did a decent job. Alexis McAllister was okay, even though he was a little bit sluggish, needed to be taken off, and that's where Trent goes into midfield. Curtis Jones, I think, has been doing a very good job. He actually plays several different roles, including DM at one point. We are just going to keep rolling through this. Darwin Núñez is really starting to find some form. I like the way that he keeps going. I like the way that he progresses, and he's starting to find the back of the net at times. Luis Diaz has really come into his own after his family business off of the field that we're not going to go into right now, but he needs to be given so much credit for bouncing back. Cody Gakpo is willing to be played in a number of positions, and we're just going to have a look at those average positions because this Liverpool side doesn't look too pretty. It doesn't look too organised, too out there. If we compare it to Arsenal are an exact and precise amount away from each other. There are spaces, they're occupying certain pockets. Liverpool are almost all over the place, and that's because Jurgen Klopp needed to do a reshuffle. We're going to get to that in just a moment because that's one of the key traits as well. Trent obviously moving into midfield was a massive plus point. Cody Gakpo also making his movements through the centre of the pitch, and then they just decided to put Luis Diaz through the middle at some point, and it really did give them a real proper power and presence going forwards. Arsenal, yes, they conceded that own goal, but that was down to the quality of Trent, and then the second goal was just perfectly taken by Luis Diaz. When we look on the bench, they didn't have too much to go off, especially not too much first team talent. I mean, can you see too many? Gravenberch maybe, Diogo Jota, but then apart from that, you're starting to have some question marks, and this is where I'm going to show you this image. Jurgen Klopp, he needs to be given so much credit for what I'm about to say, because in around about the 75th minute, it was exactly the 75th minute actually, Jurgen Klopp makes a change. Now, he's already done some tweaking to this Liverpool side at half-time at this point, and he brings on Clark and Bradley. Bobby Clark and Connor Bradley. Connor Bradley goes in at right back in place of Trent Alexander-Arnold, who moves into midfield, and Bobby Clark comes in as a central attacking midfielder, or one of the real attacking midfielders in this Liverpool midfield three, which is unbelievable. You're in the FA Cup, you could get knocked out, you're playing Arsenal. A lot of people laughed at this. A lot of people said, oh, he's asking to go out. But no, he has faith. He has faith in his team. He knows what they can do in training. He knows how good they are, and he believes in them. And it's this kind of resilience and it's this kind of dependency on the ability that his entire squad has that I think will progress Liverpool that little bit further. You're probably wondering, where does this all go in terms of the league? Well, it goes towards the league because they have the quality. Jurgen Klopp wouldn't have put them in the side without it. I actually believe that he is the best manager in the middle of a game, just in mid-match management. He is unbelievable. He is top quality. He's the best in-game manager in the league today. Pep Guardiola is okay, yes, he has an unbelievable amount of assets to his disposal, but Jurgen Klopp does not have that. Jurgen Klopp has to make do with what he's got, and I'm sure he's pretty happy. Conor Bradley was a sensation. He was a revelation when he came on for Trent Alexander-Arnold. He shored up that right-hand side, managed to bomb on forwards, and Liverpool automatically got that little bit more of impotence. They got that little bit more dangerous. Trent was moved further forward, which allowed him to start picking some passes, playing over the back of Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes. Then you've got the runs of Luis Diaz to really help that go forwards. I understand this was a game in the FA Cup, and people are probably wondering, why are you talking about the FA Cup? It's not the league. This tells you everything. I promise you, it tells you so much about Jurgen Klopp's mentality, about his belief, about his systems, and the way that he's able to dictate his game plan to the rest of his team. And the way that they implemented it was nothing short of spectacular. They deserved that 2-0 win. They really did. It was phenomenal. And from that game onwards, although it wasn't too far away, from that game onwards, I had an inkling. I reckon Liverpool are going to win the league. Now, let's look at something else. The Premier League is very much a marathon and not a sprint. It requires the rotation of players depending on a number of factors, including injury, game time, and a lot more. And when we look at this Liverpool side now, it looks a lot different to when it did at the start of the season. I had a load of question marks surrounding this Liverpool side at the start of the season. I still have a couple, but generally a lot of my questions have been answered, and that's another main point that I want to focus on. Liverpool have found answers to a lot of questions posed to them at the start of the season. Alisson is obviously still one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Konate and Van Dijk are a great partnership, but their backups were always going to be in question. Now they have Matip, Kwanzaa, who can really step up, and Joe Gomez, who has found a new vein of form, albeit at left back, but he's still found some quality. The question around Trent Alexander-Arnold's understudy is still there. However, Conor Bradley coming on in that game against Arsenal, and the belief that it must have given him, the fact that Jurgen Klopp said, "You are my guy," to really take Liverpool on and progress them forwards. The energy and the quality that he showed was nothing short of sensational, and he made another good appearance against Fulham. So this is going to allow Trent to then embellish and enhance his midfield role and allow him to move that little bit further forwards, very much like he did against Arsenal, and really power Liverpool on when the likes of Endo and Bajcetic are not available. Speaking of them, Bajcetic is an extremely exciting talent who's still yet to come into this Liverpool side due to injury. Endo, I still have my question marks over. However, he's done a pretty good job about really placing himself into this midfield. And then you've got the left back problem. Andy Robertson is out, Tsimikas is out, but here comes Joe Gomez. Now, if you would have told me a year ago, when Joe Gomez was really having his problems, that he would be one of the main players in this Liverpool side, putting in performances at left back, I would never have believed you. And I don't think a lot of Liverpool fans would have either. I think a lot of Liverpool fans might have been quite happy to see Joe Gomez leave for a certain price. I don't think they'll be saying that now. His utility and his ability to really work in different positions is now just fantastic, and it's brilliant. It helps them to really have composure on the ball. He has a height and a presence to him, very much like a Nathan Ake out at left back. Not necessarily the same stature or the same size, but he really has offered something to Liverpool in that position. And then we move forwards. The midfield was always going to be a question mark after their additions. They failed to get Caicedo. They failed to get the likes of Romeo Lavia. Is that a problem? No. Because Jurgen Klopp understands that the ability in the system is far greater than the individuals that surround it. Dominic Szoboszlai was one of the main key additions that they made, and I do believe that he is one of the real linchpins in this Liverpool side. But take him out and you've still got quality in Elliott, you've still got quality in Cody Gakpo, and you've got the ability of Ryan Gravenberch to come in there as well. Thiago has been out for almost the entire season, but Curtis Jones and Alexis McAllister have been doing a pretty sensational job. The midfield makeup is so flexible in this Liverpool side that I can see them still having power, still having pace, still having quality with almost any kind of formation or any kind of mix-up of players. And looking at the forward line, I was concerned about the understudies to Mo Salah, very much like Trent out on this right-hand side. But now you see Elliott out on this right-hand side. Luis Diaz can do a role as well. Diogo Jota if he ever needs to. Cody Gakpo if he ever needs to. The flexibility in this Liverpool side, I believe, is their greatest asset. And it's really the ability for them to do whatever they need to get the job done. A lot of the time you have a look at the players in and around championship winning sides. They don't always play fantastic, free-flowing, attacking, up and down football. No, it's about grinding out results and making sure that although you play not to your level, you still get the job done. And that's what Liverpool are doing, and the way they're doing it is pretty impressive considering the players that they've had out due to injury. If we have a look at the striking category, Darwin Núñez has not always started, but Cody Gakpo is a pretty good player to bring in his stead. Diogo Jota has been missing, but boy, are they now reaping the rewards of taking their time and making sure that he comes back from injury properly. And the same can be said for this left-hand side. Whenever Luis Diaz is not playing on the right, he starts on the left. Darwin Núñez can do a stint out on the left-hand side as well, and so can Jota. Cody Gakpo, if he ever needs to, can go out there as well. As I said, the flexibility in this Liverpool side is something that is really special, and it's the system that is really showing itself to be the main selling point of this side. And it's something that's extremely impressive and that can only have been integrated by a manager like Jurgen Klopp. I'm not saying Liverpool are going to win the league comfortably, far from it, but I do think that they probably have the best chance at the moment, especially considering the players that they have out, the grit, the determination, the way they play through matches, and the way they've been able to win without necessarily playing at their best, not to mention the fact that they have one of the best man motivators in the Premier League currently, and, in my opinion, the best in-game manager. Manchester City will be there or thereabouts, but Erling Haaland has started to really creep in with some injuries. And can Kevin De Bruyne really stay fit for the rest of the season? Man City became quite reliant on him to really get through that game against Newcastle. And for me, although Kevin De Bruyne is fantastic and sensational, it was quite concerning. They were conceding chances and they were conceding goals. Man City need to look at themselves, and they do have Champions League around the corner. Although Liverpool have European football of their own, it's not exactly the same thing. And if they can get through those Europa League ties with some rotation here and there, something that arguably Man City cannot do, you'd argue that Liverpool are in a pretty good position. I believe that Aston Villa will still be doing quite well, but I think they'll start to fall off a little bit. Arsenal I expect to come back to the top to challenge Liverpool, but again, they've got their own problems. Thomas Partey has been injured for quite some time, and it's pretty clear now that Arsenal do need some form of an upgrade in the striking department. Can they do it in January? I'm not so sure. Tottenham Hotspur are high and flying, but it might be a little bit too far away for them to go back up and challenge Liverpool with the form that they're in, especially with the players that Liverpool are expecting back. And then we need to think about Liverpool's personnel if we're going to be looking at others. Mo Salah has been sensational. In fact, he has the same amount of goals as Erling Haaland and 8 assists. That's double the amount of assists of the Norwegian. Not bad at all. Liverpool are pretty sensational, and I just think about their game against Arsenal in the FA Cup, the resilience that they showed, and then contrast that with the game that they had against Newcastle, where they racked up an XG of 7.1, 34 shots, 15 on target. That's extremely impressive against a side who boasted one of the best defensive records in the league last year. Now, all of this adds up to me to a side that has been undervalued, underappreciated, and one that has continuously showed that they have answers to almost every problem that you give them. Jurgen Klopp has the experience, he has the determination, and he's now rebuilt this Liverpool squad yet again in his own image. It remains to be seen whether they can take him to the title once more, but I think they are in a perfect position. And I reckon they might just get over the line. But my question to you is, how do you think the Premier League is going to end? And do you agree with me that Liverpool are in prime position? Or do you believe that Manchester City will run away with it once more? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. And I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.